The last spell. The wizard's tower stood at the edge of the world where the earth dropped into fog and stars shone even in daylight. His name was Solas. Once that name was spoken, with trembling kings bowed before him, dragons yielded the road, and the clouds themselves parted at his gesture. But that was long ago. So long ago that he was no longer sure whether it had truly happened or only dreamed in long winter nights. Now Solas sat in an armchair by the window and was sewing a hole in his blanket. The needle was old, his fingers even older, but he was in no hurry. When the girl came to the tower, he heard her immediately, not by magic, but simply because the stairs creaked on the 3rd and 7th step, and he had known this for 100 years. "Are you a wizard?" she asked from the doorway. "Once was," he replied, without looking up from the blanket. "They told me you can do anything." Those who said so were exaggerating. "Sit down." She sat right on the floor because all the chairs were piled with books. The girl had reddish hair, torn boots, and the gaze of someone who had not trusted anyone for a long time. "My village," she said. "There's a river. It's drying up. The harvest will die. The people I know," Solas interrupted. "How? Because rivers dry up where forests are cut east of the source. People always do this. Then they wonder." The girl pressed her lips together. "So will you help?" Solas put down the blanket. He walked to the window slowly, leaning on his staff, and looked at the fog below. "I can call the rain," he said at last, "but it goes where it wishes. I can speak with the underground waters, they are slow, but they listen. I can place a mark on the spring so it remembers its way. Then do it? I can, but it will take 3 days, and I will need help." The girl was surprised. "Whose? Yours?" He looked at her. "Did you think wizards do everything alone?" For 3 days they walked through the forest, the old wizard and the girl. He showed her where trees grow that hold water in their roots, where the earth breathes with moisture even in the heat. She carried his bag and at first said nothing, then began to ask questions carefully at first, then bolder and bolder. "Why do you live alone?" "Because I am too old to tolerate fools. And there are few wise people. And me," Solas thought, "you ask the right questions, that is rare." On the 3rd night they sat beside the spring. The wizard placed his hands on the stone and whispered something, not a spell, but more of a request. Quiet, like a conversation with a very old friend. The girl watched and tried to memorize every word. In the morning the water rose. Not at once, first a drop, then a thin trickle, then a full stream that ran cheerfully between the stones down to the valley. "How did you do it?" she asked. "I only reminded the water of its place," replied Solas, rising with a groan. "Water does not disappear. It forgets the way. Sometimes it needs to be reminded." The girl was silent for a long time. "Teach me," she said at last. Solas looked at her carefully, the way one looks at something long awaited. "For that you must come to the tower. Live there. Study. Years, I know, it will be hard. I know. The stairs creak on the 3rd and 7th step. I noticed." He nodded. They set off back, the old wizard and the girl who would soon become his apprentice. The fog parted before them. Somewhere above, a hawk cried. For the last time in his life, Solas felt that he was in a hurry. The end.